Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing our freshman spotlight series as we take a look back at that 2023 class and talk about some dudes that are going to be making some noise at the college football level. And we're going to arguably my favorite prospect in that 2023 class, and that is five-star quarterback Jackson Arnold. We've gone to Oklahoma a couple times. We've talked PJ Adebawore. We've talked Jaquez Petaway. We've talked Peyton Bowen. Now we're talking the crown jewel of this Oklahoma class in 2023, and that is Jackson Arnold. Now, before we dive into Jackson Arnold, take a look at the film from that senior year, talk about what we saw from the spring game. Just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Oklahoma fans. It's been a blast talking Oklahoma football. It's no secret that the boys are very high on where this program is going under Brent Venables, and the support the Sooner fans have shown the fellas truly does mean a lot. Over 7,000 subscribers on the channel. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with us. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing. Appreciate you guys in a big way. And let's get into Jackson Arnold, who I want to start off with talking about how perfect I think the situation is for Jackson Arnold coming into Oklahoma. You see a lot of there's kind of two different scenarios for young five-star quarterbacks coming into the program. One, they're thrusted into the deep end with no other quarterback, and they kind of have to figure it out, which can a lot of times hurt the development of that quarterback. And then the other one, and kind of what you're seeing at Texas with Arch Manning, is he's going to be quarterback 3 on that depth chart, and he might not even play much in 2023. So the development might be a little bit stunted. Jackson Arnold, in my opinion, comes into a perfect situation where you have Dillon Gabriel, one of the most productive, polished, experienced quarterbacks at the FBS level, as your starting quarterback. And Jackson Arnold, I mean, I know a lot of Oklahoma fans know what that quarterback room looks like after Dillon Gabriel last year. Jackson Arnold's comfortably quarterback 2 in Norman, and that's going to allow him to learn a lot and also play a lot. So he's not going to need to start year one because you have Dillon Gabriel. If he's ready to play significant snaps, that's great. He looked at in the spring game, but he's a guy that's going to get reps. And that you look across the country at quarterbacks that have kind of followed that route. I think that's the perfect route, right? Bryce Young did it at Alabama. CJ Stroud did it at Ohio State. JJ McCarthy did it at Michigan, where you're quarterback 2, you get a chance to play a lot as a freshman, but you're not just thrown out into the deep end. So Jackson Arnold really coming into what I think is just a perfect spot for Oklahoma. Now, I do want to talk about Jackson Arnold, the player, and what he brings to this Oklahoma team, because I'll say it right now, I am extremely high on what Jackson Arnold has as a quarterback, this toolkit that he has as a quarterback that's going to translate real quick to that college football level. And I want to go to the spring game first before we dive into that senior year film. And what you saw from the spring game was one, like the mentality of Jackson Arnold, I think you got to be thrilled about, right? You saw him struggle early in that spring game, few batted down passes, some frustration, right? And I'll say it right now. I mean, Brent Venables in that defense, they were sending some fire, and you normally don't see that at the spring game, especially when you have an early enrollee freshman quarterback at the helm. They were sending blitzes. They were making it very hard on Jackson Arnold. And early, it was frustrating. But what you saw him do is not get deterred. He wasn't like sulking his shoulders, because he came back late in that spring game and looked phenomenal, dicing up defenses. And that's something that I think works out really well. And that's what makes you really optimistic about Jackson Arnold as the future quarterback for this Oklahoma team. Now, from an on-field perspective, the ball was coming out really quick, which is something is rare for true freshmen, early enrollees. I mean, that kid he should still be going to high school prom at that time. Jackson Arnold was getting the ball out really quick. I mean, he was processing at a high level. You know, these five-star quarterbacks have the arm, right? We're not questioning Jackson Arnold's arm talent. You all saw that. We'll see that when we dive into the senior year film. But what I was most impressed with is how quick that ball was coming out, how fast he was processing that defense, because that is kind of the gatekeeper for a lot of these young quarterbacks having success at that college football level is how well can you process, how well can you diagnose defenses. And I thought Jackson Arnold looked relatively comfortable doing that as an early enrollee freshman. Now, getting into the senior film, this is exciting. This is this is peak offseason, right? We're talking about the five-star quarterback that can really get Oklahoma to where it needs to be, not only in 2023, but in the future. I mean, a couple things that jumped out. We'll see. One, you talk about winning football. 5 interceptions on 445 throws. This is a dude that takes care of the football at another level. And you saw Nick Saban talking about his quarterback battle out at Alabama, saying we're trying to find winning quarterback play. And what does the winning quarterback play mean? It means not making the losing plays, right? You have the talent around you. You need to be able to make the throws and keep that football safe. Jackson Arnold showed that at an extremely high level. A couple things other than that I want to note. One, we said the ball gets out fast. He's a very, very good athlete. He can extend plays. But the thing that I loved most was the it factor. And you saw that with quarterbacks like Bryce Young. Why did Bryce Young, who's under 6 foot, under 200 pounds, go number one in that 2023 NFL draft? And what did a lot of the scouts say? They were talking a lot about that it factor, that ability to, when the play breaks down, make other people around you better and make that play. Jackson Arnold shows that at a next level. And he's a guy that he wants to stay in the pocket, but when it is time to get outside the pocket, create. I mean, that is what Jackson Arnold does best. And that's what I'm most excited for about his game. Again, pocket collapses, breaks down. He's able to make something happen. Extending plays is something that's massive, not only at the college football level, but the NFL level. And Jackson Arnold certainly has that in his bag. This is a really impressive throw. You talk about like the processing, right? This is doesn't on the surface doesn't look like that impressive a throw, but he's patient, waits for that wide receiver to come into that throwing window and puts it right on the money. That's something that, I mean, talk about polished quarterback play. Jackson Arnold certainly has that. Another thing that I'll say, Jackson Arnold, he is a bear to bring down. Like, you go back and watch him be an athlete running the football. He's thick. Like, he is hard to bring down. He is athletic. He's a big body. He can make stuff happen with his feet. Throwing on the run, another thing that is extremely, extremely impressive from Jackson Arnold's game. So you're having a quarterback that can throw from the pocket, make all the throws in the book, but he also can create outside the pocket. Has that it factor for when plays break down. Jackson Arnold's going to be able to create. This throw is extremely impressive, right? You have that safety over top. There is only one spot where this football can go, and he puts it right in the bucket. I mean, this is an extremely impressive throw, and that's all over the film. Like, Jackson Arnold, another ball placement that's absolutely perfect. He has the arm. He has the rocket arm. Does he have that ball placement? Can he layer his throws? Jackson Arnold certainly can do that as well. And again, it's not always the flashy throws, and that's, I guess, to pause it real quick, you see a lot of the five-star quarterbacks, their highlight films that when you look into them, they're just pushing the ball down the field, having that a very impressive deep talent, attacking that deeper third. Jackson Arnold, he's a guy that, I mean, he can layer his throws. He's very accurate in the short and intermediate range too, which is something that I think a lot of people don't want to talk about because it's not flashy. But don't get me wrong, when it's time to drop it in the bucket 40 yards down the field, Jackson Arnold can certainly do that as well. Again, lowering the shoulder, this dude can run, and that's really exciting. Now, I want to talk about, we kind of had the discussion about how this quarterback room looks right now with Dillon Gabriel and Jackson Arnold not necessarily having to be thrusted into that playing time. The next thing I want to talk about is the future, right? I'm sure a lot of Oklahoma fans have heard the national media talking about, oh, Oklahoma's going to struggle in the SEC. You've seen that schedule in 2024. I think Oklahoma fans, one, you're going to the SEC. You know it's not going to be easy. You're going to be playing elite teams week in, week out. How do you win those football games? You have an elite quarterback that can win your football games, that plays winning football, which Jackson Arnold is. And then you surround that quarterback with elite offensive talent. And you take a look at this 2024 class, and this is something we've talked a lot about. This is an elite wide. This is not a wide receiver group. This is from an offensive playmaking standpoint. What Oklahoma is doing in that 2024 class, I mean, those defensive linemen hopefully coming, Williams, Emaneri, David Stone. But from an offensive standpoint, man, you got to be so excited about what Jackson Arnold is going to be surrounded by in terms of offensive playmaking. You have the number one running back in the class in Taylor Tatum. You have an absolute matchup nightmare with guys like Devon Mitchell, 6'4", 250, Ivan Carrion, 6'6", 200 pounds. Then you have the polished wide receiver in Zion Carney. And then let's go get to my two favorite guys in the class. 5'9", 150-pound Zion Raggins, who is, I mean, as twitched up as it gets in this 2024 class. And then another guy we've talked about, KJ Daniels, who's an absolute burner, another twitched up guy. You take a look at the future of this Oklahoma Sooners program. I think you have to be so excited about what Jackson Arnold's going to have around him and how well they're going to be kind of heading into the SEC with. Like, this is a depth chart that's in a really good spot. And we didn't even talk about guys like Jaquez Petaway in the 2023 class. It's a roster, it's a depth chart that's in a very good spot. I think along with a lot of Sooner fans, trust Brent Venables to get that defense right. I mean, they hammered the transfer portal. They bring in really, really talented guys in the high school ranks. Defense is going to be there. You got to win football games on the offensive side of the ball, too. I think Brent Venables knows that. And you take a look at having a guy like Jackson Arnold in that 2023 class. He's that dude. And then you surround him with all this playmaking that they have in that 2024 class. If you're a Sooners fan heading into the SEC, you have to be absolutely thrilled. And a lot of the national media, they're not on him. I mean, you saw the Sooners 6-7 last year. A lot of people saying, "Oh, Oklahoma is going to get boat raced in the SEC." You take a look at this talent and the young talent on this team. I'm telling you right now, Oklahoma is going to turn a lot of heads in terms of moving to that SEC. That a lot of people, again, if you don't follow recruiting, you don't follow kind of the younger talent, you might not know. But Jackson Arnold is that guy, and he's going to be leading the Sooners into that SEC in a very, very good spot. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to y'all later.